Welcome to Awaken Health Pod. I'm Jennifer Grogan, Integrative Health Coach with Greenleaf Wellness in Peoria, Illinois, and I'm with Shauna Scordell, Integrative Health Coach with Inspire Wellness for You in Arizona. Morning, Shauna.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Just so everybody knows, yesterday was Jennifer's birthday.
Oh, thank you.
We hope all the listeners wish you a wonderful day after.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. So I think we're on episode 18, and today is May 21st, 2018. And I just want to say real quick, a quick disclaimer that all rights are reserved. Jennifer Grogan and I, Shauna Scordell, are integrative health coaches. Any recommendations are intended to support general well-being and are not intended to treat, diagnose, mitigate, prevent, or cure any condition or disease. Any vitamin or nutrition recommendations made on this podcast and or through any phone or video consultation should be verified by your physician before starting. And with that said, today's topic is adrenal fatigue, and we're going to talk a little bit about your adrenals and what adrenal fatigue is and what role that plays on the body. And Jennifer, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and I'll let you get started.
Okay, well, first I want to go into the adrenal glands and what they are. So the adrenal glands are the triangle-shaped endocrine glands that sit atop the kidneys. They're responsible for regulating the stress response through the synthesis of corticosteroids like cortisol and catecholamines like adrenaline. The adrenal glands are the key to a healthy immune system and proper thyroid function. And you guys probably heard of adrenaline. It's also known as norepinephrine. As commonly throughout it's known for the fight and flight hormone. So that response that you get, like when accidents happens, you just get that urge of adrenaline. So when you're in that fight and flight mode, your heart pounds, your blood rushes into your heart, your large muscle groups, your pupils get real wide, your brain gets sharpened, your tolerance for pain increases. So it's important to know that when you're not dealing with your everyday stress, not getting proper amounts of sleep, not eating mindfully, it can all put a emphasis on the fight and flight mode. So it's really important to get your sleep because you don't want to go around sluggish or just respond quickly to things. You want to be able to think thoroughly and stay calm. Another area is like the cortisol, so that increases your appetite and your energy level with toning down your immune systems, for your allergic and inflammatory responses. This hormone, the cortisol, stimulates the storage and release of the energy in your body. So it's going to help the body resist the stressful effects of infections, trauma, temperature extremes, and helps you maintain stable emotions. So sleeping and taking care of your body, being mindful, all plays in part there. If your cortisol levels get too high for too long, they do have side effects. And a few of those, and you may go, oh my gosh, I can relate to this, but like loss of bone density, muscle wasting, thinning of your skin, decreased ability to build protein, kidney damage, fluid retention, spiking blood sugar levels, weight gain, increased vulnerability to bacteria, viruses, fungi, yeast, allergies, parasites, and possible cancers. And then another area that goes that would be your DHEA. So it's an androgen that is produced by both the adrenal glands and the ovaries. So your cortisol and DHEA go together. So one is up, the other one does go down. And so your DHEA helps to protect and increase bone density, guards cardiovascular health by keeping bad cholesterol levels under control, provides vitality and energy, the key that the body uses to manufacture testosterone. So the adrenal insufficiency usually suggests that there are long-standing life problems in need of help. So abnormal adrenaline and cortisol levels can result in mood disorders, sleep disturbances, reduced resistance to disease, changes in conditions. So it's really important to stay connected and be mindful of everything that you do and put into your body, because just being fatigued, get your sleep, you're not eating accurately, it can, play in part with feeling sluggish with the fatigue that we're going to be talking about next. So
Well, exactly. And when you were talking about the just a little bit of a description of the adrenals, and you can think of it as an adrenal has two parts. Like she said, it's right at the kidney, and the inside of the adrenals is where the nerves are, and the outside of the adrenals is where the glands are. And so that nerve pouch that's in the center of your adrenal gland actually is sending messages through the secretion of the hormones. And this is important again for hormonal balance and everything that Jen just mentioned. But this is where your neurotransmitters such as serotonin, dopamine, cortisol, and a few others that Jen just mentioned are responsible for the body's function. And some foods that are really nourishing to the adrenals are organ meats like liver, fish, um, beef and chicken organ meats, eggs, low sugar fruits, vegetables, beans, and whole sprouted grains. And it's very important before we go into adrenal fatigue, just to be mindful, like Jen said, on taking care of all aspects of your body. That way, you can be as an optimal functioning as possible. And so, adrenal support nutrients commonly include vitamin C, B12, B5, vitamin E, and herbs such as licorice, ashwagandha, ginseng, maca. All of these are very vital, and you can get these from food, micronutrients, and supplementation. So, just to know when you are eating something or taking a certain vitamin, know why you're doing it, and that's important as well. Now, as far as who can be disrupted by adrenal fatigue, are we ready to go into the fatigue, Jen?
Yes.
Okay. So basically it's stressors that lead to adrenal fatigue, and that could be emotions, chronic illness or infections in the body, chronic pain, depression, excessive exercise, a gluten intolerance, deficiencies, malabsorption, and poor digestion, toxic exposure, severe or chronic stress, surgery, sleep deprivation, excessive sugar, excessive caffeine, processed foods, additives, chemicals, and even infected gums or root canal. And I know there's so many, and these all can play a role in different areas of the body. But a lot of the times, when I share with somebody that, they could be having internal stress, they'll look at me and say, "Oh, no, I'm not stressed at all." But you have to realize that even just standing up is stressful to your body. So the body knows how to function that stress by balancing out the blood pressure. And so there we do have internal stress or organs or digestion or overworking out and overexertion. And so all of this can be the who could get adrenal fatigue. And I just wanted to share there. Did you have anything you wanted to go into regarding that?
Well, I know that there's millions of people that are affected by adrenal fatigue, and I know there's three stages of adrenal fatigue that are all associated with cortisol imbalances. And so the three would be wired and tired, which is your high levels of cortisol, especially at night, equals insulin resistance, insomnia, abdominal weight gain. Stressed and tired, you wake up early around 3 a.m., which I can relate to this, and sometimes you can't fall back to sleep, and your mind just keeps going and going and going. Um, but later in the day, there's a stressor that kicks in, and you feel more awake, and then your cortisol peaks early, it flattens early, and then often midday, early evening, it rises again. So, just be mindful of that. And then burnout is complete exhaustion regardless of how much sleep you get. So low DHEA and thyroid hormones play a key there, and it's a higher risk for autoimmune disease. And I know you were talking about inflammation. You mentioned depression. So a lot of times people with depression, it is an inflammation. So the way to cool the inflammation is by adding more omega-3 fatty acids. And I know you mentioned some other things like vitamin C. I know curcumin is really good. Vitamin D, selenium, magnesium, and zinc. It's all important for the thyroid function and adrenal function as well.
And then low sugar, low caffeine, low processed foods, and whole foods is just an easy base to start at to
Oh,
try
yeah.
to
I think a
reduce
lot of people
inflammation.
struggle with that, though, because when they're tired and they're feeling fatigued, they want sleep, and then they go to the comfort foods.
Exactly.
So
Or easy foods.
yeah, and so it's a complete cycle that just keeps going and going and going. And so it's training yourself to think more mindfully about why you're choosing to eat what you are, and then going with the food groups that we're suggesting, and kind of incorporating that in, crowd out the bad, and keep going with the good. So,
well, and the way that you explain the 3 to 4 stages of adrenal fatigue, so people could think of stages 1 and 2 being an alarm phase, and then stage 3 being a resistance phase, and then, or I'm sorry, stages 1 being an alarm phase, stages 2 being a resistance phase, and then stages 3 being a burnout phase. Their burnout phase, excuse me. There's actually 4 because there's 2 alarm phases, a beginning and a continuing, but alarm, resistance, burnout. And the burnout is this takes a very long time to recover from it. And most of us throughout our lifetime, we go in and out of stages 1 and 2. And we may not even realize it, but so it's relatively normal for this to happen, especially in a modern society. However, it plays a huge role on the body, and the resistance phase could take 6 months to recover, and the burnout phase could take about a year, more or less, to recover. And a lot of us, we hear a little bit about cortisol, and most people may just think, that's your hunger hormone and it makes you fat. But actually, there's really an importance to the balance of cortisol levels because, yes, if it is too high, you'll have symptoms. But if it's too low, the symptoms are worse. It is more dangerous to have your cortisol levels too low than too high. And so that is why with adrenal fatigue, your cortisol levels are just wiped out. They're completely depleted. And then this is adrenal exhaustion.
Right. Well, I was talking to a lady a couple of weeks ago, and she was just really, really, really fatigued and just not feeling herself. And I go, how are you feeling? And she's like, I go, how are you breathing? Because I always focus in with my clients on their breathing. And she's like, I'm holding my breath.
Mm-hmm.
She was drowning and being so overwhelmed with her schedule and everything else that the stress just piled on and piled on. And she's like, I'm tired of not feeling good,
Yeah.
and it's just really sad when people get to that point because it's like if you ask them, how are you breathing? They say, I'm holding my breath. That's a huge sign for help. And so we just kind of talked together and went over her schedule. I had to write everything out. And, what do you do in a week? What do you do in a day? And it was so long that by the time she got done, she just was so overwhelmed with that.
Yeah.
And she went home and started prioritizing her schedule and weeding things out. And so it's just really important when you get to that point to just really zone in on what's around you in your environment, your family, your relationships. And it all goes back to primary food as well. So, you want to make sure that you cater to you. So get plenty of rest, go to bed early, take naps if you have to. Meditation is really good. Being mindful, so you could do like yoga because you're going to be slow moving, focusing on your breathing, and it's nourishing to the body. You're getting the blood flow and everything. So just some things to think about there.
Yeah, and I want to go more into that. So hormones, they are so important. Your libido, the sex hormones, the driving hormones for men. The cortisol plays a huge role in your metabolism. And again, all of these play, they're the functioning of your body. So your body works by getting these neurotransmitters, and it's very, very important. And so I like how you said meditation and learning or paying attention to breathing. This is really important to try to prevent this. And you want to address your stressors and your triggers. Like you just said, look at your schedule and see everything that you're doing, but also things that are upsetting you or stressing you out or irritating you. You don't want to just survive with these and just deal with these on a daily basis and get burnout. You kind of want to, one by one, have some self-reflection, take some time to think about them, and see what stressors or triggers are bothering you. But then you also don't want to just focus on the negative aspect. It's really important to focus on what makes you happy. Reducing your stress levels, making sure that you have proper micronutrients, having foods to eat and foods to avoid, identifying food sensitivities and intolerances, eating at the right time of day. I mean, this just sounds so simple, but everybody is different. So certain people can handle different aspects of life differently. Certain people can eat certain foods without any ill effect. And certain people may do better eating bigger meals in the afternoon versus the dinner time. Always want to be cautious of your sugar for so many reasons. We have 2 podcasts on sugar, Sugar Talk 1 and Sugar Talk 2. That goes into the detail of the effects that sugar plays on the body. But this is just important because we're talking about your hormones, the functioning of your body, your adrenals. All of this is really important. And again, cutting out caffeine. Some people may be getting too much and their blood pressure is going too high. They're working too hard. Their mind is racing, and there's no time for real rest and relaxation. And again, you can get that adrenal fatigue. And if you're in stages 3 or 4, it's going to take a long time you're going to have to be willing to change. You're going to have to change your diet, change your lifestyle, make sure you're getting proper supplementation. And just as Jen and I are integrative health coaches, we work with people who are coachable, who want and desire to transform and change. And so if you run into this adrenal fatigue, it's very important that you do take care of yourself and follow some of these tips and suggestions.
Right, and I know that you keep bringing up sugar. That puts a lot of stress on the adrenal glands, but causes inflammation. Not only that, but dairy, soy, and gluten. And I know you said gluten-free, so it's just really important to be looking at your foods, look at the labels when you're shopping. Drink more water. You can add fresh lemon juice or Himalayan sea salt to your water. Important. Just, you want to keep hydrated and keep moving. Moderate exercise helps stimulate the adrenal function. So figure out what works best for you. And if you have fatigue, inflammation, don't do the high impact. I think we talked about that before in another podcast. Focus in on like yoga, Tai Chi, the slow moving that also strengthens and builds balance. Because you want to get balance in your life if you're fatigued, because that means you're overdoing things. So just being mindful of that.
Yeah. And I want to demonstrate too a little bit more of, I know a lot of times we give what is it and where does it come from and how does it happen, and so when we were talking about basis like depression or burnout, this and that can cause it, I just want to go into a little bit more of a demonstration. Jen, you did a really good job. You already explained a really great one, and that's being so exhausted that you want to go to bed, but then you can't fall asleep, and then you're up even though you're so tired. That's a clue that there may be something going on there with the adrenals. It's like, are you exhausted or do you have insomnia? It's horrible. Hard time focusing. If somebody's explaining something to you and you just are like, what? And you don't get it and you're having a hard time comprehending what they're saying, that can coincide with just memory loss, going to the grocery store and having no idea what the heck that you were trying to go for. Just feeling absolutely lethargic, like you can't move. You're just burnt out, exhausted. Breathing issues, like you mentioned with the person that you were talking to. All of this is important. I mean, even if you're just, you always take the trash down to the street with no problem, and then all of a sudden you're taking the trash down to the street and your legs just are heavy and tired and it's difficult and you have no endurance, dizziness. These are all clues that you may be needing, again, to rest, meditate, hydrate, proper nutrients, back off on the stress, and have some self-reflection. It's really important.
You can also eat the foods rich in L-tyrosine.
Yeah.
And those aids in adrenal function by relieving excess stress put on the gland. So that would be like your fish, chicken, pork, whole grains, oats, dairy, avocados, bananas, legumes, nuts, and seeds.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we can all have busy lifestyles. And again, each body's different. But basically, a lion isn't going to chase you for 12 hours straight. But your body, when you're in adrenal fatigue, your body is in a mode that you are being chased by a lion for 12 hours straight. And can you just imagine and think about that for a minute of what that's doing to your brain, your organs, your endurance, your energy, everything that functions the body? It's just wiped out.
So you may be wondering what are some symptoms other than the ones you had brought up. There's, like you said, a whole long line of things that but to name a few that, I could think of was like cravings for salt, sweets, and carbs, excessive sweating or perspiration from little activity, cystic breasts, low stamina for stress and easily irritated, low blood pressure, negative response to thyroid hormone. You mentioned the libido, lack of, low blood sugars, excessive mood, responses after eating carbohydrates like pasta, breads, and sugar. So just try to avoid those if you can and challenge yourself. I'm going to take out sugar. I'm not going to eat pasta, potatoes, breads, any of the white floured stuff. I call it the junk food. So, challenge yourself, go off that for about a month and see how you feel. And I guarantee you'll feel a little bit different and you'll get more energy, but it takes time to recover.
Yeah.
So just be aware what stage you might be in and avoid going to the pure exhaustion.
Right. Well, and again, as we mentioned, some of the primary functions of cortisol, it has a lot to play with your insulin in your body as well. And like you mentioned, the inflammation. This is hugely important because as inflammation increases, this is tied to diseases like cancer, Alzheimer's, autoimmune disease, fibromyalgia, skin conditions like eczema, heart attacks, and so many more. So when cortisone levels are low, your body really struggles to handle inflammation. And so if you get yourself to a point of adrenal fatigue and then you're not paying attention to anti-inflammatory, then you're putting yourself at more risk for these diseases. So that's just why we want to help share information with you so you can make educated decisions for yourself. Be mindful. We want you to be cautious and be very caring and loving to your body and the function of it, and just learn a little bit more of the function of it rather than just getting carried away with life and getting up and having coffee and working and going and going and going. We just really want you to be mindful and take care of you.
Exactly.
Well, have you, Jen, ever experienced any of these levels of adrenal fatigue yourself?
Yeah, I think it's normal when you have little ones. At the time that mine were little, because they're 13 and 15 now, but around the time I got diagnosed with PCOS, the blood work came back and she did mention something to the lines of just be really careful because it shows that you have, a little bit of adrenal fatigue going on. So I just put that with the symptoms of PCOS, and you just start doing your self-care and being mindful of your food and exercising to what your body can handle. But I think just being a new mom, your adrenals are going to get low anyway. You got lack of sleep, and then that lasts all the way up until certain early years of their life of like 3-4. So with sicknesses or whatever it might be, getting them up in the night, but I wasn't eating right, and that plays part in PCOS as well. And so just being very mindful, take those naps if you have to. I was foggy headed. I had my moments of calling for help on the side of the road because I couldn't drive because I felt like I was on blackout. So, I had the works going on, but yeah, I think that if you can figure out the food, your movement, and just being mindful, it can turn for you to the better, that you can feel a relief. Have you ever experienced with it?
I think I have. I've had those points of just absolute exhaustion and not knowing why and thinking, oh yeah, you need to eat better and exercise more, but just really not knowing where it came from. And then I did have some dizziness, which in turn was one of many things, but it was magnesium deficiency, which again, if you have, micronutrient deficiencies, that can also contribute to adrenal fatigue. And so I understand why it says it takes so much time to recover because, you're balancing out a lot of things. You're balancing out your food, your lifestyle, your micronutrients, your sleep, your stressors. And so, I have a lot of respect and appreciation for people who take those steps, step by step, to make themselves or get themselves to a point of feeling better and feeling well. And then, you can move on to bigger and better things and do it with ease. So I really, you know, it's just really about being in tune with yourself.
Yeah, I think the older that I'm getting, I won't say my age, but I think the older that I'm getting, I've come to the terms of realizing that saying no to things for the putting on the schedule is okay.
Yeah.
Because it used to be, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. But now, having a health coaching practice and, everything that we do, and having a family to tend to, it can actually be very more mentally exhausting than physical.
Mm-hmm.
But it's allowing yourself to do digital detox. It's allowing yourself to just vegetate on the couch for an hour or two with your feet up and not feel guilty. I'm one that has to constantly be doing something. So I don't really like to sit. So it's okay for me to do that. And you said it was my birthday yesterday, and so I took the weekend off. It felt great, but I'm realizing it's okay. I don't have to do everything under the sun, to make everyone else happy. It's tuning into you, your family, and what you need and want.
Yeah.
And especially for your body and your own health. And so if you're one that does everything, it's okay to say no.
Yeah, I try to work on that too. I'll have a list of, 370 things for a day. And then what I've just been doing for a while now is I just try to pick my main priorities, thinking on a large scale, maybe three things for the day. And I just make sure I get those done. And then everything else is kind of like extra. I'm still working, I'm still doing what I have to do, but I don't have that mental pressure of I got to get this, and that done. So I can get down those priorities, and then I can, take the rest of the day to let it flow a little bit better. And it does reduce a lot of stress that way. And then you feel proud and productive.
You do. It's very rewarding when you can focus in on mindfulness.
And just know that if you're interested in focusing on one of these areas to nourish your adrenals, there's a lot of different areas that Jen and I can work with you. Just committing to regular deep breathing exercises, we can show you and help educate you a little bit on what in detail that means. If you really want to meet some exercise goals, we can help you have some balance in that area and have some achievable action steps where you can meet your goals. Meditation and self-reflection, this is important to your health, and scheduling the time out to do this. Learning about sleep and hormones and how to sleep better, how to eat and cook and shop for wholesome foods, and to be mindful with your body and how certain foods or coffee or certain things affect you. All of these are important. And as much as I want you to go home and do all of these overnight, sometimes that doesn't happen for individuals. And that's why, as health coaches, we are here for you to help coach and guide you along the way for optimal health. We definitely thank you for listening. Again, we're on SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, Awaken Health Pod. We are a wellness podcast. We hope you have a great day, and feel free to share your comments and feedback on our Facebook page, and we look forward to talking with you. Have a wonderful day.